Hello, fourth graders. Welcome back. We are going to continue revising today, and this is actually my favorite part to revise because it is the most important. And this is where we're going to revise the heart of the story. So, right here, this is the peak or the apex of my story mountain. And this is the most important part. This is the climax. This is the part where your character confronts their problem. And in my story, it was right here where they put a curse on me. So my job when I revise is to stretch that thing out. Because if it's the most important part of the story, you should treat it that way. Devote the most time to it. As a writer, you show things are important when you spend a lot of time and detail discussing it. So this is what we can do. There are some things we can add to the heart of our story when we go back and look at it. One thing we can add is more about what the characters were feeling. That's always a good thing. Second thing, you can add more details about what happened. Can you go into further detail about the events? So check your story mountain, right? Make sure you included everything in there. Next thing you can do is have more physical descriptions of the action. So get right into it and make it, in the nitty-gritty of it. Then you could always add more dialogue. That's always a positive thing, is to include what the characters are saying. And then I'm always a fan of adding more setting descriptions. So let's go in and I will show you how I did this. The heart of my story used to be right here. I still persisted. You have to tell me. Rob started. This is really serious. You can't go screwing it up with your stupid little girl stuff. I'm telling Mom, I said. They both shouted, no. I'm putting a curse on you, said Rob. If you tell Mom, you'll die. Then they turned and left. So here's how I revised it by adding in all of these things: thoughts and feelings, details, physical descriptions, dialogue, and setting. The world's really messed up right now, and we have to fix it, Chuck added. So we're going to New York City to fight crime. They gave each other a look and hesitated. I could tell that I'd stumbled onto something bigger than their usual stupid schemes. Half the time they were trying to dig up buried treasure or travel back in time. This is all my thoughts. Rob turned to me and began. This is really serious, and you can't screw it up with your stupid little kid stuff. In his bathing suit and flip-flops, he wasn't exactly a model of what a mature big kid looked like. That's setting. The world's really messed up right now, and we have to fix it, Chuck added. So we're going to New York City to fight crime. So I'm stretching it out. For once, I was speechless. My mouth was agape. That means hanging open. New York City. Did they even know where that was? I didn't know how far that might be, but I knew one thing for sure. They had no way to get there and no idea where they were going. Then I noticed the suitcases. What are those for? I demanded. One of them was open. It had several pairs of underwear and a thick stack of comic books. You don't mean you're going by yourselves, do you? This was completely insane. Someone had to do something. Someone had to talk to someone that wasn't crazy. I bit my lip, knowing what was coming. I hated being called a baby. I'm telling Mom, I said defiantly. Immediately, they jumped to their feet, shouting, no! Rob was spitting mad. I'm putting a curse on you, he said, snarling. If you tell Mom, you'll die. They both hovered over me, twisting their fingers grotesquely and making up words that sounded like a spell. They closed in on me, getting louder and louder, making threatening faces and gestures. I cowered on the ground. This was starting to feel a little too real. I closed my eyes tightly and covered my ears, wishing they would stop. Fine, okay, I finally yelled. Leave me alone. After what felt like an eternity, they looked satisfied. Rob snapped his little brown suitcase shut and picked it up. He looked like a very little boy with a very silly idea. I knew this would be a disaster. So do you see how I went back and added so much to that part that I thought was the most important right here where they put that curse on me, right? And I even added a little bit of this in here, okay? I just added a bunch to it. So thinking about things to add to the heart of your story, more about what the characters are feeling, more of the details about the events, more physical descriptions of the action. Say I stretched out like the way that they were twisting their fingers over me, more dialogue, and more setting. So you can go back into your piece, find the heart of your story, and see if you can add more to really, really stretch it out.